So, it's the game's anniversary. That means a few juicy patches to run through. Now, I had a bit of a break there, so today I want to run you guys through all of the most recent important changes that occurred with the game. Now, the truth is that really it's only around this anniversary and all this big news the past 2-3 weeks that there's a lot of really cool stuff to look at for general changes to the game. Now, I do appreciate earlier in the month we had a full-fledged Living World release, which I really didn't get the chance to talk to you guys about at all just yet. We'll save that for somewhere else. But for now, I want to run through some World vs. World changes, general quality of life updates to the broader game, basically fill in the gaps of the things we missed, starting with the most recent updates that just came in these most recent couple of days, most of them to do with the new Skimmer feature and the game's actual anniversary. So this is the game's 8th year. Where the hell does the time go? 8 goddamn years. And so for any character you have that's now 8 years old, imagine if that was a child of yours. It would be a well-grown, characterful person by now. If you are 8 years old, like I am, you will get some free extra gifts. So there are 2 birthdays, kind of. There's the 25th, the game's official release, and then there's the people who bought the higher editions of the game and got in on the head start a couple of days earlier. So my oldest character is actually my Mesmer, the first person I made. My Elementalist, that you guys all kind of consider my main, and I personally don't. I play more a variety of classes at this point. My Elementalist is actually a few days after the Mesmer, once I realized I wasn't enjoying leveling on it. So it's the Mesmer I usually log in on at times like this. And, well, the devs have gone further again. This game is not as simple as Guild Wars 1, where it would just be some mini-pets, birthday gifts, because they filtered mini-pets in Guild Wars 2 all over the place, so they have to do extra things. We've seen that they've added backpacks over the past, we've seen that they've added armor sets over the past, we've seen that they've added weapon sets. Well, what did we get this year? It's a unique amulet that looks like the Guild Wars 2 logo, and this will be the only way you ever get one of these on your account, so maybe something worthy of your main. To go with it's fully stat selectable, ascended for free. I mean, anyone with an 8-year-old account at this point, I think, has got more than enough laurels at various ways to get amulets, but it's nice for the sentiment, and in addition to that, they give you an enrichment to put in it. So, just to remind you guys, an enrichment essentially acts as an aura, but instead of taking an infusion slot, it will go into your amulet instead. The very first enrichment they ever added was Coda's warmth, and really I wanted to see them flesh out the game with more enrichments. Well, here is one. So it gives you a very subtle kind of purpley glowy effect, a little bit like the other legendary trinkets, but the main special thing here is you have an unsheath and sheath effect where fireworks will display around your character. You can see these in the background here. There'll be 2 generic fireworks, and then the third one, either above your head or over your shoulder, will be in the shape of the Guild Wars 2 logo. And I think the Guild Wars 2 logo is only meant to appear on unsheath, and then when you sheath, it's just 2 smaller fireworks. If you unsheath and sheath in the right speed, you can actually get kind of a bit of a light show going. I'm sure with a whole zerg of people doing this at once, it would look pretty good. I know that whenever stuff like this comes into the game, there's big concerns about visual noise. I don't honestly think that this pushes the line anywhere that a hell of a lot of other stuff in Guild Wars 2 already has pushed the line. I know that sheath and unsheath effects kind of feel a bit legendary, and this is rather big, but I think it works, and who knows, maybe there are a diminishing number of people that have hit that 8-hit year threshold. I tend to feel like if you were here for the 7th party, you're probably here for the 8th. Hell, if you were here for the 6th, if you were here for the 5th, you're probably at that point where this game's not coming off your list anytime soon, and the number of 8-year people, therefore, isn't diminishing that much. It's kind of like how I still see a high proportion of God walking amongst mere mortals in Guild Wars 2, even though presumably over all these years you'd think some of the Guild Wars 1 fans would have weaned away, and certainly several have, but then there's clearly a big contingent that's still around, like myself. I mean, yes, there are people who can still be newly getting God walking amongst Mimors, so maybe this tangent isn't necessary. Anyway, you get a new enrichment. It's pretty nice. I think the main problem with this from ArenaNet's end is they were quite clever with the weapon set, and they were quite clever with the armor set and with the backpacks, because they added several at once, which meant that they didn't just add 1 year of rewards. They added like 5 years of rewards with the backpack, or even more than that with the weapons. This time, they've added one reward and they're going to have to redo the cycle again for the 9th year anniversary. What do they do that time? I kind of feel like they've been a bit silly with the anniversary gifts. Like, if people still had backpacks to unlock, then maybe they didn't need to keep adding stuff so quickly. You know, maybe take a couple of rest years and then add something else in bulk later. What's actually happened this year, on that note, is if you have been getting every gift every year, and let's face it, you can't really miss them, even if you don't log in immediately, later on you can log in and get the mail. If you've been doing that, and you've been selecting a new reward each time, this year you will actually get the last armor set. So I got the medium luminous armor this year, and you'll get the last backpack, and you'll get the infusion. So the only set that you'll still be working away on is the weapons. So next year there's a lot of pressure for ArenaNet to do something again. While they've covered enrichment now, what's next in terms of a cosmetic that they can offer us? Maybe a toy, something along those lines. I don't envy the guy that has to be creative about that another year in a row. And then after that will be the 10th anniversary. People will be really expecting something big there. Christ, I feel like all I've done is blink. And wasn't it the 10-year anniversary of Guild Wars 1, like just yesterday? This same patch did come with some other general updates, including performance for some Season 4 stuff. Brilliant maps, not as yet unforgotten. So the Brandstorms in Thunderhead Peak, if you guys are still playing around there and dealing with that, have apparently been improved. I think that they might have had a lot of bug and error reports from the player base, and they're responding to those quite precisely. And there were a couple of minor notes, you guys can pause the video if you like, to do with the Drizzlewood Coast as well here. Another big feature for this release is Underwater Skimmer. So, the devs hinted at this in their roadmap. I did make a video about that roadmap, and we speculated very loosely about it at the time. More information has obviously trickled out since then. The patch is now in. And here's what they said in the notes. Skimmers are evolving. Sibahar, a talented but arrogant skimmer trainer, has taken a squadron of skimmers with her on a quest to unlock their true potential. Players have completed Path of Fire can head to any major city to start the collection to track her down, unlock a new mastery, and teach their own skimmer a few new tricks. So this is kind of amazing. Just to be clear, at this point, I have not participated in this content. I'm actually hoping to do a full video discussing this for you all. But the idea here is that the new expansion might not bring us any kind of underwater mount because they're kind of evolving the skimmer into that role. I have no idea how it works. I have no idea how satisfactory it is. I have no idea how satisfactory the quest to acquire it is. But as a general principle and concept, I love now that people who beat POF will kind of have a choice of upgrading their skimmer or going for the griffin immediately afterwards. And it feels nice to get something big as a feature, basically as a POF thing. Because I know we've had a Living World season since Path of Fire, and now we're in this whole new saga thing. But it was still the most recent paid thing. And I somehow still kind of feel like we're in the Path of Fire days, the Path of Fire era. Probably got a lot to do with the fact that the character select screen is still, you know, the pyramids and whatnot. And then seeing the devs produce updates that really just look at POF, I think is really fun. So I'm looking forward to what will hopefully feel kind of like a new mount. The questing and achievements and collection stuff to get it will hopefully feel along the same lines as the Sky Scale or the Griffin. Could be a really big feature. You guys are welcome to tell me about your first impressions of having done this down in the comments, and let me know what to expect as I go into it over the next couple of days. But yeah, big feature there. Then also we have some general changes, including a long-awaited feature for the Mystic Forge that, if I remember rightly, a few years ago, we actually had quotes from the devs saying that this wasn't quite possible. Maybe it was an engine thing, maybe it was a philosophy thing, but it's to do with the Mystic Forge, which obviously for 8 years has been a very tedious process of clicking through, double-clicking through all 4 items that you want to put in the forge, or drag and dropping, then hitting forge, and then doing it again. And that's fine if all you're doing is one quick craft as you're building a better item, like say maybe you're making a legendary. It's super tedious if you're making lots of little things. Maybe you've decided your way to make money is to tier up white items into blue items, into green items. It can genuinely be profitable, and it's a good way of spending all of your skill points. If you remember the podcast I did about making money a few months ago, you'll be well aware of that fact. but it's tedious. Super annoying to click, forge. Click, forge. So people have wanted a reforge feature. Again, I think ArenaNet had resisted for a while, but check this out. A new button has been added to the Mystic Forge that allows players to quickly place the same stacking items from their last recipe into the same ingredient slots after accepting the previous output. So not only is that a massive quality of life bump that actually makes me want to interact with the Forge more than I ever have before, because I'm not much of a Mystic Forge guy, but also I think that's so good that it might even affect certain economies and the likelihood that people will engage in some of those recipes in the game that are just way too tedious to ever consider. It's really, really cool. Even stuff like making clovers is just going to be way less annoying now. Brilliant. Some really nice updates to the hero section, the achievements panel, which I like as someone who's very much into achievements in the game. So we could always search for achievements, you know, you could always type them in, but now there are filters available. So you can add an achievement point filter, which means the only achievements you will see are ones that actually give you AP. Now, this one's like super amazing. As you can see, for me, that changes the story journal from showing every single patch that's come out to just the ones where I've got a little bit left to do, right? Like Party Guardian, the achievement I complimented so much in the video when it came out, and then actually found super tedious to find the bosses. So this filter, I'll probably have on all the time. It really boils this stuff down. I can see now the only general achievements I've got left are right here. This is the kind of thing that I had to go to like Guild Wars 2 efficiency for a lot of the time before. I can see here that I now have achievement points to get from Path of Fire. This section wouldn't have been here, but the new Skimmer thing has come out, so there's achievements to get there, and so on. I can even look through, you know, what collections I have left. It's just generally a really, really nice change. The other filters are a rewards filter. I guess anything that you can get rewards from. Mastery points, so anywhere that you think, okay, I need a mastery point. I don't think that one's so necessary because, I mean, you already have the icons to guide you around the UI and point those out. Anywhere that you might have a title, and then you can clear all of the filters away. So that's really nice. And then, beyond that as well, on the summary section with the nearly completed stuff, they say that nearly completed achievements on the achievement summary page can now be sorted by tier completion or by total completion. So that's this drop-down box here, which again is really nice because quite often I don't actually care about the tier, right? Like idolatry here. It's saying that it's the closest thing, and it's true, I would get 2 achievement points from it. But maybe it's true that those last 5 idols represent thousands of hours of gameplay. In which case, I kind of don't want it on my nearly completed at all. It's kind of unnecessary for it to be there. And case in point, like, I quite often have a world versus world achievement there. This happens to be 24 out of 25, so it is close. But, you know, it might be that there's a really, really long time before I hit the next tier. In which case, maybe I just want to look at total completion. And it turns out that there's something else, that the nearest tier it's furthest away, but in total it's closer. Right? So, yeah, really nice little things for the achievement hunters there, for the completionists out there. And I do think you need a completionist mindset to get the most out of Guild Wars 2. You really do. More than any game I've ever played, in fact. And so more features like this are pretty nice. So that's most of the stuff from the most recent patch. I will go through now some of the stuff we missed recently. And again, as I mentioned at the start, in truth, there wasn't too much here. However, last week, right up until the anniversary triggered, World Boss Rush actually came back. So you remember these bonus events that the devs were playing with a bit last year? And then they kind of evaporated, and I felt like it was a bit of a shame. Well, they haven't fully evaporated. Looks like the devs are playing with them again. I actually missed it. I don't think there was any exclusive new loot. There was that chest tonic, but we got that before. I don't think it's a new one, so I don't think I missed out there. The Festival of the Four Winds is back as well. You've probably seen that. That's going on right now. Most years I'd obviously do a full production about it. I don't think I need to this year. You've heard me talk enough about this festival. All the information's out there. There's not many changes this time. However, there are 3 new Zephyrite weapons if you're diligently doing your dailies and collecting those. And all the Zephyrite weapons, which are kind of muted, they're not that shiny, right? People like shiny. It's like go shiny or go home at this point in Guild Wars 2. So they've added a new enchantment vendor at the Bazaar, which in exchange for some festival currencies will upgrade the Zephyrite weapons into shiny Zephyrite weapons. So you've kind of got two versions of the daily stuff, and yeah, they've added a couple more to the set. I guess that will get expanded on even further as we go along. The other thing I'll note, as I've noted for all of the festivals this past year's worth of videos, it is finally true. If we have a look down in collections and we go to festival collections, you can actually finish now the festival frequenter. So this is the last one. It started in Halloween, and if you've logged in for all of them, you will now have the invitation to the festival of the Four Winds, which will unlock the Ascended invitation to the party, a very fringe, hardly useful item, but allows you to delete all of the other ones. This is still an interesting achievement to me because it kind of suggests the devs aren't ever going to add another festival. They feel like they're full of them. I think that the setting and the world definitely has space for even more, but they've probably got enough spread throughout the year now, and they're happy with it. So yeah, this is the first time we can finally get the invitation to the party, and that little bit is completed. Going a little bit further back in time now, there were some nice changes to World vs. World. More incentive for a player like me to get in there more as well, in particular. So one of the taxes on playing World vs. World, which is that you'd have to repair your equipment in there, basically, is gone. Equipment no longer takes damage in World vs. World maps when players are defeated. So that's quite nice. World vs. World Ascended Armor, now this one's huge, now only requires rank 500 to purchase, down from rank 1,500 to 2,000. So, this is a weird update in that I'm going to be a bit of a hypocrite as I talk about it. I can very much imagine that if I had fallen into World vs. World big time, if Spud had gotten into World vs. World big time and it was all we lived and breathed for, and if I had got to rank 2,000 already and I had earned that armor, I'd be sitting, I know I would be sitting here on this video and telling you guys that this is a bad change. I'd be complaining that, you know, I'd worked really hard and I'd earned this, and it was something special and prestigious to go for people who were really dedicated, and now ArenaNet's taken that away. That's kind of what I'd be saying. However, that's not the angle I'm in at the moment. I don't have that armor. I kind of want that armor. I've not played enough World vs. World for it, so I'm in more of a casual place for World vs. World. And seeing this patch note that it now only takes rank 500 to pick it up kind of incentivizes me to go in there. I'm seeing the other side of the coin, and it's like, well, maybe I can actually do it now. And I suppose ArenaNet have replaced that armor as, you know, a big prestige thing, because the next patch note says that World vs. World has a new title, God of World vs. World. To earn this title, players must attain rank 10,000. So that's 5 times further deeper in than the Ascended Armor. And then you can purchase the title scroll. So you get rank 10k. There's your ultra prestige reward that they've replaced. But as for the armor itself and people that are trying to finish out their wardrobes, it's more of an attainable goal. And you might actually see them going in there. I have no real super hardcore plans to immediately get into World vs. World based on this change, but it is another thing on, frankly, what is quite a large growing list where it's like, oh, this looks like a nice update that makes me kind of want to go there a bit more. This looks like a good update, makes me kind of want to go there a bit more. One day it will happen, and I'm sure it will enwrap me when it does. They also say, fixed a bug in which players could gain access to the professional mechanic while holding a banner after mounting and dismounting. Okay, cool. So that's it, really. Going even further back, the only real general change I can see that I never managed to make a video about, it seems we were actually pretty good at covering all of this stuff, the full Living World release notwithstanding, is that in June, there was a patch that increased experience in the tutorial even further. Unbelievable. I have no idea why ArenaNet did that, and I haven't actually made a new character yet, but the tutorial was already completely skipping you over level 1. What does that mean? Do we skip over level 2 now as well? Is that really necessary? The leveling curve is so shallow at the start of Guild Wars 2. It's so shallow. Do we really need even more XP coming out of the tutorial? I don't know, man. But there it is. Wild stuff. And that's pretty much most of the main changes. That's what's going on here at the moment. The festival's up, World Boss Rush just ended, the anniversary stuff to go for, a new swimming skimmer to go for, and we're on the back heels of a pretty good Living World release as well, which I'll get around to talking to probably sometime later. I really want to focus on the skimmer thing first. So that's it, guys. I hope you feel a little bit more in the loop now. Thanks very much for sticking about and checking out the video. Don't forget that the Arena series is continuing. The next episode did go up last night, so if you missed that, please feel free to check it out. and I will be back for more Guild Wars 2 stuff super soon. I just recorded a video with Boots to do with Cantha and Elite Specializations. Hopefully that'll be fun. See you guys for that one very soon.